On September 16th, Xiaomi's SU7 once again became an attention across the industry after a serious incident in Nanjing. A Xiaomi SU7 lost control, veered into a green belt and caught fire. The flames were later extinguished. It marked the first reported case of a Xiaomi SU7 catching fire in China. Videos and photos circulating online showed a vehicle crashing into the roadside green belt, followed by smoke and flames. The surrounding concrete blocks were also dislodged from the impact. There were 3 people in the car at the time of the accident. Xiaomi sales representative Mr. G was driving Mr. Shen, a test driver, who was in the front passenger seat. Mr. Xu, a friend of Mr. Shen, seated in the back. Both Mr. Shen and Mr. Xu sustained injuries. According to Mr. Shen, the front passenger airbag deployed on time and thick smoke began pouring from the car's engine. Realizing the danger, he immediately searched for the door handle to exit the vehicle. But the design of the Xiaomi SU7's door handle is different from other models, and it took him some time to figure out how to open it. After exiting, his first instinct was to rescue the others. Upon opening the rear door, he found Mr. Xu unconscious and covered in blood. Mr. Shen also noted that the driver, Ji, was the first to exit the vehicle but did not assist with the rescue. Instead, he quickly ran to a safe location. Only after Mr. Shen and Mr. Xu had escaped did Ji return, claiming he had gone to make a phone call. On the same day following the incident, Xiaomi Motors issued a public response. After inspecting the crash site and analyzing vehicle data, they initially concluded that the accident was caused by slippery road conditions and driver error, which led the vehicle to veer off the road and crash into the median. The impact damaged the front bumper and the chassis, with the battery area sustaining severe damage. Xiaomi suspects that the collision may have caused an internal short circuit in the battery, resulting in brief smoke and flames before the vehicle released pressure downward. Firefighters promptly responded, neutralizing the risk and moving the vehicle to a safe area. The passengers, injured from the collision, were taken to the hospital for immediate medical evaluation and treatment. Xiaomi's statement emphasized driver error as a key factor in the crash. Local Xiaomi representatives explained that the driver had activated the car's assisted driving feature while in the middle lane to demonstrate its capabilities. After briefly accelerating, the salesperson disengaged the system but mistakenly pressed the accelerator instead of the brake a few seconds later, causing the vehicle to surge forward. The underlying suggestion from the staff member was that the crash occurred after the assisted driving feature had been disengaged. But the passenger, Mr. Shen, offered a different opinion. He argued that the main cause was a malfunction in the assisted driving system. Shen said, quote, "It's impossible for a car to drive at an angle like that under normal conditions. From my experience inside the car, the steering was off and the driver wasn't holding the wheel. The car was steering towards the curb and my biggest concern is that the assisted driving system lost control," unquote. Interestingly, reports from the Chinese media have largely avoided criticizing Xiaomi for shifting blame regarding the incident. Instead, many outlets have praised the Xiaomi SU7's inverted battery cell technology, claiming it ensured the vehicle's safety after the crash and subsequent fire. Some reports even said that accidents are inevitable and often serve as a litmus test for vehicle safety. They argued that while consumers have high expectations for the safety of electric vehicles, nothing speaks louder than real-world results. According to these reports, the Xiaomi SU7 passed the test and its safety is, quote, "beyond doubt." Online discussions have further glorified the inverted battery cell technology used in the Xiaomi SU7. They claimed that this feature was the reason the fire was quickly extinguished, preventing the vehicle from being destroyed in flames. One person sarcastically commented, quote, "It's like Xiaomi fans have their brains in the wrong place. The car catches fire after hitting a curb and yet they're celebrating. It's reminiscent of those old stories where disasters happened. The only thing people praised was the leader's effective response in minimizing the damage. No one ever talks about preventing these disasters in the first place. Can't Xiaomi fans see how embarrassing this is? They're turning a shameful incident into something to brag about. Talk about confusing right and wrong," unquote. The issue of electric vehicles catching fire, whether after collisions or even spontaneously, has gained significant public attention. According to Chinese state media, in 2023, over 270 reported cases of electric vehicle fires occurred across China. Of those, only about 10% were due to collisions, while over 50% were caused by incidents during charging or while the vehicles were stationary. In the first quarter of 2023 alone, the rate of spontaneous combustion in electrical vehicles, or EVs, surged by 32%. An average of 8 EVs catch fire per day. When driving, no matter how cautious you are, it's almost inevitable that your vehicle's chassis may scrape against something. For traditional fuel-powered cars, the consequences are typically minor, perhaps a fuel leak or a part that needs replacing, but it rarely leads to a fire. With EVs, the situation is different, as collisions can pose a significant fire risk. A professor at Tsinghua University's School of Vehicle and Mobility, Song Jian, explained that EVs are particularly prone to catching fire after a collision. He said, quote, "The battery doesn't need to be damaged. Just a strong enough impact can ignite a fire," unquote. Unlike fuel tanks, which are a sealed system and won't catch fire unless fuel leaks, batteries contain both oxidizers and flammable materials, making the risk of fire significantly higher. This is easy to understand, as there are two main types of power batteries currently available on the market: lithium iron phosphate batteries and ternary lithium batteries. Both types contain lithium, a highly reactive metal. When a battery cell ruptures or undergoes structural changes, the lithium reacts rapidly with air, leading to a violent oxidation reaction. This quickly generates heat, which can cause a flash fire or even an explosion. What's more concerning is that fires in EVs are much harder to extinguish. It is reported that putting out a fire in a fuel-powered car requires around 1 ton of water, while an electric vehicle can require anywhere from several tons to as much as 100 tons. For example, in April last year, a Tesla Model S caught fire in the United States following a collision. Firefighters spent 7 hours putting out the blaze with 106 tons of water. Additionally, electric vehicle fires have a high rate of reignition. When lithium-ion batteries in electric vehicles experience thermal runaway, they don't release all their energy at once. Instead, the heat spreads gradually to the surrounding battery cells, which can cause the fire to reignite even after it has been extinguished. According to some estimates, lithium battery fires can reignite up to 15 times. From a safety perspective, fires in fuel-powered cars generally unfold gradually. For instance, there are usually early warning signs like smoke and a burning smell. This is why it's rare to hear of fuel vehicle owners being injured or facing life-threatening situations due to a vehicle fire, as there's typically enough time to escape. In contrast, fires in EVs are often sudden, without warning, and the fire spreads much faster, leaving passengers little time to escape. Even more concerning, these fires can be accompanied by explosions and the release of toxic gases. This characteristic of EVs, spontaneous combustion, has led to a paradoxical situation in China. While the government encourages the purchase of EVs, it also imposes restrictions on their use. In a June report by Chinese state media, policies like vehicle trade-in programs and customer subsidies have fueled a new wave of car purchases. EVs are gaining popularity due to their eco-friendly, economical, and smart features. Incentive policies include exemptions from vehicle purchase taxes up to 30,000 yuan per EV, cash subsidies for purchases, and free or discounted charging facility installation services. In some cities, EVs also enjoy priority on the road, such as unrestricted access during traffic control periods and preferential parking rights in designated areas. According to China's Ministry of Public Security, by the end of June 2024, the country had a total of 440 million registered motor vehicles, with 345 million being cars. EVs accounted for 7.2%. In the first half of the year, about 4.4 million EVs were newly registered, marking a 39% year-on-year increase and setting a new record. Many EV owners are frustrated by the fact that their vehicles are not allowed into underground parking garages. In addition, several hotels and museums have implemented new regulations regarding EV parking. On August 21, 2024, the Ningbo Huigang building issued a notice requiring EVs to park above ground and prohibiting them from entering the underground garage. The building's management justified the decision as a reasonable safety and space management measure due to safety concerns and full parking capacity. Since this year, certain parking lots under overpasses in Taiyuan, Shaanxi province have introduced separate management zones for EVs and fuel vehicles. Some residents have complained about this new zoning policy. In one instance, a resident reported that the public parking lots near their residential community began enforcing this separate parking system in April. But the EV parking areas are often insufficient, leading to the frustrating situation of available parking spots that EVs cannot use. The Guangdong Museum announced that, starting from September 22, 2021, its parking lot would implement a zoning strategy. EVs are directed to park in the open-air lot at the East Gate, while fuel-powered cars are recommended to park in the underground garage. Similarly, the Radisson Blu Plaza Hotel in Hangzhou, Zhejiang Province, has prohibited EVs from entering its underground garage, instead guiding these vehicles to designated wide-body parking spaces on the surface. At the entrance to the underground garage, a sign titled "Fire Hazard for EVs" displays examples of EV fires. The hotel explained that this policy was implemented due to the enclosed nature of the underground garage and the need to ensure fire safety. The reason behind these regulations is straightforward: fear of EVs spontaneously catching fire. Such incidents have become too frequent. For example, on the early morning of August 19th, a fire broke out in the underground parking lot of the TCL Xiangxie Yuan residential complex in Huizhou. The fire, which occurred on the basement level of Building 6, started with an EV and resulted in the destruction of 3 cars and a row of electric bicycles. The fire affected an area of about 30 square meters. Fortunately, no casualties were reported. But images from the scene showed several cars burned down to their frames, presenting a grim and terrifying sight. On August 9, 2024, in an underground parking garage at Pingshui Renjia residential complex in Hangzhou, a new EV caught fire. Several residents upstairs reported hearing explosions. The vehicle involved was a white Dongfeng EV, with extensive charring and deformation, and all windows were destroyed. The interior of the car was left in complete disarray. According to the property manager, the fire was initially discovered when the vehicle began emitting smoke. A fire extinguisher was used and the flames were quickly put out. However, the NEV reignited shortly after, with visible flames that spread rapidly, rendering the fire extinguisher ineffective. The security team then used the fire hydrant to spray water on the flames. As the temperature continued to rise, the garage's sprinkler system activated, but even then the fire seemed uncontrollable. The fire department arrived around 12:30 p.m. to take over the firefighting and ventilation efforts. Upon entering the underground garage, water from the fire hydrant was still flowing, and the area was filled with dense smoke, reducing visibility. The smell of burning lingered in the air, and even with masks, the fumes were overpowering for those on site. Just days later, on August 16, 2024, in Panyu District, Guangzhou Province, a Mercedes EQC electric vehicle suddenly caught fire while charging. Footage from the scene showed the black Mercedes emitting an explosion sound during the charging process, with smoke billowing from the front of the vehicle. The fire quickly intensified, producing thick clouds of smoke. On March 24, 2024, a fire broke out in the underground parking lot of Darushijia Garden District 4 in Fuzhou in the early morning. A total of 11 EVs were burned down to their metal frames. The basement housed nearly 100 electric bikes, with 4 rows of charging outlets installed for these vehicles. On March 22, 2024, in the Zhangpanyanlu residential complex in Hangzhou, a new EV caught fire while charging in an underground parking garage. The heat from the fire severely damaged nearby vehicles, turning them into a charred mess. The burning vehicle, which had a green license plate, was reduced to just a metal frame. The charging station attached to a pillar was also heavily damaged, and around 4 to 5 meters of the basement ventilation duct above the vehicle were destroyed. A nearby car had its paint scorched and turned to charcoal, sustaining serious damage. It was reported that the owner of the car involved in the incident worked as a rideshare driver, and the vehicle was owned by his company. The driver explained that on the night of March 21st, around 10 p.m., he returned to the residential complex and began charging his car, knowing that the slow charging station typically took 8 to 9 hours to fully charge the vehicle. He did not expect the incident to occur. Earlier in the year, on January 18th, in a parking lot in Jiaxing, Zhejiang Province, a Xiaopeng electric vehicle caught fire next to a charging station, burning down to an empty shell. In another incident, a new EV caught fire in an underground garage in a residential complex in Tai'an, Shandong Province, resulting in the destruction of over 20 cars. The fire left a layer of ash covering nearly all vehicles in the garage. Due to the fire's location underground, even the fire trucks couldn't access the area to put out the blaze. While some EV fires during charging might be attributed to the issues with the charging stations, the sudden combustion of an EV while driving raises even more alarming concerns. For example, on August 13, 2023, an EV taxi in Chengdu caught fire, causing an explosion that sent debris flying over 10 meters, leading to a massive traffic jam. In another case from August 2023, a white Chang'an EV burst into flames in the middle of the road in Qingdao. Thick black smoke billowed from the burning vehicle and white electric sparks exploded from the car, forcing passing drivers to take emergency evasive action. Within minutes, the EV was completely engulfed in flames, and the incident occurred just a few dozen meters away from a Sinopec gas station. On January 19, 2024, another EV, believed to be a Leapmotor C11, also caught fire while driving. The fire originated at the rear of the car, with flames erupting from the back tires and chassis. In a matter of moments, the entire vehicle was consumed by the blaze, leaving nothing but a burnt-out shell. Chinese media has since discussed what drivers should do in the event their EV catches fire while on the road. The key advice is to immediately evacuate all passengers. Once everyone is out of the vehicle, drivers should avoid attempting to extinguish the fire themselves. Common dry powder fire extinguishers are ineffective against electrical fires caused by short circuits. Moreover, once a battery short circuit occurs, the fire spreads quickly and is often accompanied by explosions with flames shooting outward. The reports also advised bystanders to stay away from burning EVs. As the fire grows, the energy stored in the battery can lead to explosions and the ejection of hot liquid, which poses a significant safety risk. The high temperatures of these liquid splashes are extremely dangerous and can cause severe injuries. Some Chinese people have voiced sharp criticism, with one remarking, quote, "The government promotes electric vehicles but doesn't guarantee their safety. Buyers should be prepared for the consequences. It's better to wait until battery technology improves, until they can withstand impacts and not catch fire before buying an electric car," unquote. Another commented, quote, "Just look at what cars government officials drive to decide if it's time to buy an electric or stick with gasoline," unquote. Someone else said, quote, "Chinese people often don't realize the dangers until they experience them firsthand, sometimes at the cost of their lives or life savings," unquote.